Hey there, Graham here. So I decided to start posting kind of a series of videos to talk about just kind of what we're going through right now. By we, I mean my fiance Jordan and I, what we are going through currently. And what that is that we are trying to have a child through surrogacy. Surrogacy is a very large process. It can also be very expensive depending upon a lot of different factors. But it was something I didn't really know about until, that much about until just about a year ago. About a year ago, Jordan's sister, who lives down in Puerto Rico, she was considering having a hysterectomy. And we asked her before she goes through with something like this if she would be willing to possibly be an egg donor. And so that we could one day possibly have a child, that would share both of our genetics. It was just an idea that we were having. And she loved this idea. She ran with it. She loved everything about this, that she'd be able to help us to have a child, and also would be, to help her have a niece or nephew. So, this was an idea that we had, and it was something that we didn't really kind of move forward with right away because we know it's a large process. But then all of a sudden, roughly around the new year, my coworker brought up to me the fact that as a cast member at Disney, and if you don't know, I am a cast member at Disney World. I am a server at Three Bridges Bar and Grill at Villa del Lago at Coronado Springs. And as a Disney cast member, Disney actually reimburses every full-time cast member up to $75,000 to help start a family. And whether this be through IVF, adoption, surrogacy, any of those things. So suddenly this is such a great opportunity. So I started looking into this. My God, this is, it's making something that I thought was an impossibility, something possible. So I contact the company that works with Disney, and they explain how this service works. And it turns out that it's not so much an insurance where, you would go to the doctor and find out how much something is going to cost, and then they're just going to pay it. Instead, it is a reimbursement program. So this took a little bit of the wind out of my sails, because all of a sudden, obviously, now I need to find $75,000. It's not just you're good, we got you. Now I need to find 75,000. So it started becoming much more of a daunting process. But, when there's a will, where there's a will, there's a way. So I just start considering, okay, well, we could try to figure this out. We already have an egg donor that takes out a large amount of money from this process, and who knows, something good could happen. So I start making appointments with doctors just to see that my general health is okay. I haven't been a doctor in years, so let's see that I'm okay. And as I'm waiting for these doctor's appointments to come up, all of a sudden this day happens where I'm at my restaurant, and one of my coworkers and one of my friends suddenly just says to me, she's talking about how she was excited for her, her child, who's a little over 1 year old, to to celebrate Easter and to have her first Easter egg hunt. And I was very excited. And I asked, I was like, she's old enough now to understand the idea of an Easter egg hunt? And she's telling me how they had done test runs, and how she loved she loved hunting for the eggs. And I said to her about how this is something that ridiculously, if I could ever figure out how to have a child, this is something that I'm really excited about. I love the idea I loved Easter egg hunts as a kid. I'd love to do that with my child, and et cetera, et cetera. And she just throws out there, if I ever need a surrogate, that she would happily be my surrogate. This is a crazy statement to just make on a random day as I'm at work. So, and I say to her, well, you should talk to your husband before you just say things like this. It's a very large thing to say to me. And she tells me how she's always wanted to do it. She's always wanted to be a surrogate. She's been an egg donor in the past. This is something that she wants to do, and he knows of it. Fast forward, he agrees. He says, that he's okay with this. So this is something where all of a sudden now I'm, there's that little bit of fear in the back of your mind, that when you hear about something positive, that's something that, that Disney reimbursed up to $75,000, to start a family. That's probably not going to last long. You just got that fear like, oh no, it's something's going to happen. And all of a sudden that benefit is just going to be taken away from me. And now all of a sudden she says that she's okay with it. Oh, that benefit isn't going to be taken. She's going to change her mind later on. So you start panicking, you just want it to happen as fast as you can. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go. So I go to my doctor's office. It's the Center for Living Well in Celebration, Florida. They are very closely affiliated with Disney. So I get in, I'm just doing blood tests and everything like that, and everything's coming back positive, just everything's fine, of course. And then until all of a sudden I did get one little freak out moment where I get a phone call just saying that they need me to call up to talk about my test results. And, nowadays, in this day and age where you get everything on your cell phone, where you have an app for everything, they've been sending me all my test results and everything's looking good. And you're getting comments from the doctor saying that everything's good. And then all of a sudden you get this phone call and my brain just starts panicking, thinking, oh my God, no, I'm dying now. There's something, they found something. Luckily, no, I am perfectly healthy. I have a little bit of a high glucose level. Oh no, just lay off on all the sugar. But, so now I get in with them. I get all these tests and everything. And then I also ask about how, we're trying to have a child. We want to figure out how to do this process. And they connect me with the Gaia Center, which is actually connected to the office, the Center for Living Well, and it's right there, right next door. So they bring me over and I get an appointment with them and I get to start talking about how everything with my doctor. And she is this woman who, absolutely wonderful, sat there for an hour with me talking about the entire process and explains everything to me about every single thing that I need to be prepared for. And my goodness is there. So, of course, a lot of those expenses I talked about, a lot of them are kind of lesser because the fact that, we have an egg donor. Yeah, we have a surrogate. So those are very large expenses, but still you're talking, we need to get a lawyer involved. I need to have a lawyer. Jordan and I need to have a lawyer, as well as his sister needs to have a lawyer to make sure that they're okay, that we are confirming, yes, she is agreeing to give up her eggs. We have to get a lawyer involved for my friend as well, who wants to be the surrogate, so that she is guaranteed that we are going to be paying for all of her medical bills, that we're not going to just suddenly up and leave her with a baby all of a sudden, that we're going to be paying her through the process. Also that, in the worst of situations that obviously that she wasn't going to run away with our baby in the end. So protecting both parties. So we have to do all that. Once also we get, Jordan's sister here to get tested with the doctor's office, then she has to get tested to see how many eggs she produces. And then we have to see how many, we are able to retrieve and then figure out how much medication is needed to do this process. Apparently the medication costs more than the entire process of actually creating the baby and putting the baby into, the womb. And then we also have genetic testing that needs to be done. And that's done for me, for Jordan's sister, for our surrogate's husband, to make sure that all of us don't have any kind of infectious diseases that could potentially affect the child, as well as any kind of disorders that might be passed on to the child. And luckily, of course, because it is a family member and it's a friend, they made it very clear that, if it's something like how Jordan's family, they all have some varying degree of thyroid issues. And it's not an end all if they say all of a sudden, oh yeah, there's a good potential your child is going to have a thyroid issue. It's not that's that. You can't use her as your egg donor. Instead, it's just so that you're aware, which I was saying that, yeah, obviously if we're going to be having a Vega, a little baby on that, with their genetics, yeah, that is a risk, the same way as anybody else having any child normally would have that risk. So it's okay. But also now we need to go through mental health screenings. The mental health screenings to figure out, how I'm going to be talking to family and friends about this process, which obviously this is starting that process right now. I'm talking to all of you right here. But I'm going to talk about that process, how I'm going to be talking to our child one day about the fact that, their genetics, obviously are our genetics, but that they are technically their aunt is technically their mother. How are we going to have those conversations? So it's a lot of those things. So there's a lot coming up in the pipeline. There's a lot of things going on right now. And I figured that it'd be fun to kind of talk about it and let people see what the process looks like and see how everything functions. Um, and just be a part of this. Also to bring some awareness. I mean, again, it is a very expensive process. We have started a GoFundMe, which I will link underneath, to try to raise the money to be able to actually do this. I figured that, yes, of course, that $75,000 that, we potentially might spend on this process will be reimbursed by Disney. However, again, I don't have that $75,000. And in the event that, my GoFundMe takes off and suddenly we do really well, I figured that any money that we get reimbursed to us that I can just have will be money that can go towards our child. It's money that can pay for everything to get us started, pay for aid to, a college fund, so that our child is set up for success moving forward. So it's, theoretically, with the potential that a GoFundMe, or if I find a grant or a loan or something where I can help pay for this process, where then afterwards, yes, we have that money, it might be a blessing in disguise that, most families aren't lucky enough to start off, their family with money in the bank to help their child. So then I would be able, we'd be able to do that, which would be a fantastic just dream and hope, or if worse comes to worse, like I've said, I can take out a loan and it'll pay off the loan and then I will move forward and, and then it'll be fine, because where there's a will, there's a way. But yeah, I hope that you all will be willing to come along on this journey with us, as I talk about all the different things that we're doing step by step. And I'll be checking in, talking about all the different things, all of our different stresses and anxieties and joys, all those different moments. But yeah, so I hope you are all interested. If I know you or I don't know you, welcome to this journey with us. And I can't wait to talk to you more about this. Yeah, have a great day. All right.